Can you explain why you decided to come on this show and wear that jersey, please?
Because of the sensationalism of Leaf Nation, right? And I can tell you right now that, you know what, I obviously played for the Florida Panthers, but, I'm a Toronto sports fan, right? And I just see the nation sort of bleeding blue. And, I take the GO train to every single game, and you see fathers and sons and just the passion that they have. And it's not really matched with regards to sort of the play on the ice, right? So I think for me, it's almost a jealousy. I'm jealous of the Leafs fans because as a player in the markets that I played in, I didn't have that respect. I didn't have people coming out wearing my jerseys and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit jealous, and I almost, take advantage, as a player. So for me now, like, watching this Leafs and the product, I'm a little bit frustrated, right? I'm a little bit frustrated with what's going on because the one thing I could tell you now, sitting here as a 40-year-old man, there's a lot of regrets. So again, a little bit of a troll job because I think some of these guys are going to have some regrets if they don't get their act and get together here. But the one thing I could tell you, they still have an opportunity. But we were sitting in the press box yesterday, and it was doom and gloom. It was someone was missing, a family member was missing, or it was almost like people were ready to do the eulogy on this group. And it's frustrating because we thought this year was different.
Yeah, and with all the different pieces that came in and the intangibles and the coaching structure and everything, we still saw the same result in a game that was so polarized and so important, Stewie. Is it as simple as the main guys just not being able to get it done in the big pressure cooker moments, or is it deeper than that?
It's funny. I got reprimanded one time, and I won't say the network was, and I said, "Does winning really affect the bottom line of this group? Right? Is it are they going to force them to sort of have a better product on the ice? The jerseys are going to sell, right? The seats are going to be sold. So there's no necessarily internal pressure to be excellent and go above and beyond to be a Stanley Cup champion. So for me, I played on the Southeast Division teams where we didn't really make the playoffs. There was high turnover, 5, 6, 7 guys, and there wasn't even expectations to make the playoffs or do have success in the playoffs. So with this group, it's funny. Since I started doing media 4 or 5 years ago, they better get it done this year. If not, there's going to be changes. Well, that we've been talking about that for how many years? When is going to be that time? But again, we can all agree, extremely talented. Get it done. Put up a lot of points, very, very entertaining. But with the group not getting it done in the playoffs, you have to look at, well, how do you change it up? And for me, it's, it was the GM, it was the coaches, it was some of the young prospects, it was some of the interchangeable parts. The big change is going to have to be with regards to the top and some of your highest paid players. That's a fact.
Exactly it. I mean, Stu, how do you explain the Ghost Show? I hope you brought your binoculars last night. That's what you'd have needed to find 16 and 34 on that ice. Like, I'm not being, tough about it. I just think a fact is a fact and a spade is a spade. And those guys no-showed in Game 5.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a real explanation, but I'll tell it from me. And this is probably why, I'm still, I'm not playing and I'm talking about the game. I've been out there, and you never want to admit this as a pro hockey player, professional athlete, or, athlete in any capacity. Sometimes it gets too hard. I remember being out there with line mates and looking at, my line mate, and he's looking at me like, dude, we don't have it tonight. These guys are superior. These guys want it more. They're more hungry. And that's why you have the Connor McDavids and the Draisaitl's and now the Rantanens, because these guys elevate their game. They don't stay par for the course in the playoffs. They elevate. It takes a special type of player, special type of person, special type of champion to go above and beyond. So the one positive is it's not necessarily born. It's something you to develop. But I just don't see it with some of the players on this team, right? And again, extremely talented. I can't shake a stick at some of the talent that these guys have. But when it comes to playoffs, you have to find a way to elevate, because what I'm noticing, everyone's looking around to get it done. Can't be a Matthew Nyes. He's too young. Can't be Pacioretty. He's too old. It can't be Matt Murray, right? He's sitting there, right? Yeah. He's sitting there.
No comment.
So again,
no
it's you have to find a way to break it up and get some other pieces in to get it done. So again, I'm not advocating for trades and running guys out of town and giving them the Larry Murphy treatment. But if the expectations is winning a Stanley Cup and being a perennial contender, you have to do it. But that's where I question, is that even the motive with regards to what everybody wants in this market on the corporate side?
So we've got Game 6 tomorrow. With what you just said in mind, who steps up? Like who okay, who needs to step up outside of the obvious? Can they, the big boys? But who do they really need to step up to at least hope for a game 7?
I've been in this situation where we're down and out and there's not necessarily any hope. You look to your captain, right? You look to your highest paid player and you look to your captain and you look to a guy that has done it before, not necessarily in the playoffs, but have scored those big goals. So ultimately, I think it falls on the feet of Austin Matthews. I understand it's not basketball. It's not just one guy. It has to be collective group, but Austin Matthews has to be the guy to go above and beyond. And it's not like he can't do it. But, when you look around the league, and you're seeing Draisaitl and you're seeing McDavid and you're seeing Rantanen, and you see Rantanen in that game when he scored the hat trick, like he put the team on his back, went end to end. Physically, you can see him trying to make something happen, right? And, we can talk about injuries or not. I'm sitting here with the bursitis in my elbow right now. Injuries is part of the game. We can't use that as an excuse. If you're in that lineup, you have to find a way to elevate. And I think it falls on Austin Matthews. But the one thing is, if he doesn't get it done, is it a complete failure? No. We talk about champions that are guys that are, synonymous with winning. The Ovechkins, the Steve Yzermans, like those guys took a while, but again, those guys weren't the highest paid players in the league like Austin Matthews is. So again, I'm not necessarily, calling him out or anything, but the reality of the situation is internally with the team, internally with themselves, he's got to be better.
Stu, I'm curious, as a former player, do you think it's almost hurt Matthews, the fact that the team has been very quiet on what's ailing the guy? Like, it's quite clear, at least in my mind, a lot of people's minds, something's going on there. Do you think it has hurt the perception around Matthews because they haven't really told us much?
I think that comes with it, right? You're taking trips to Germany, you're hopping on planes, and even last year at the end of the year, there was some injury problems. No one knows what it is, right? You hear Bergeron talking, hey, I broke my spleen, right? You typically, so if you want that sympathy of, hey, you know what, we're going to give this person a little bit of leeway or a little bit of equity and not necessarily calling them out on it. I think the fan base sort of needs to know, is it a wrist? Is it a back? What is it that, you're not firing that puck going end to end and, scoring that huge goal that you did going top shelf with that release. So I think that's part of it. But again, in this market, we all understand it's amplified, the messaging and positive and negative. But that is part of it. You're not letting us know. So we're just going to speculate. And when you speculate, that's not great.
Yeah. No, it's a tough, because obviously, especially when it comes to injuries, you don't want to give too much at this time of year because guys are going to dig a little extra, right? Like that's part of it. So I get it from that side of things. At this point, if Joe Woll is playing the way he has been in the last bit, and I understand, like pulling him last night, I mean, I don't think it was exclusively on him. The entire team was dog shit. But is that not a bit of a motivator in some fashion, at least knowing that the guy in the crease is going to do his job, so we should be doing ours? Does that factor in any fashion?
It should, but you pull him, and then 4 minutes later, here's Sam Bennett 5 feet outside the crease going bar down. Right? Where's the insulation? Where's the protection? Right? And it does not to go back and add salt on the wound. We were all licking our chops and we were getting the articles ready when David Ayres was coming in. It's going to be a 10-1 game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Carolina found a way to weather the storm. So you have to find a way, and that comes down to digging in, but having a little bit of respect, but having that gel to be a team. And I just didn't see that, right? It's just they almost rolled over and died. They felt sorry for each other. And, I was in the building. Dave, you were in the building last night. The roar was there. The beginning of the game, Matthew Nyes threw probably a 4 out of 10 hit. The crowd was going crazy. It sounded like Slapshot when the Anson brothers were going crazy. And the fans were there. They were ready. And if that didn't amp you up, I had that energy where I felt like I wanted to go play. So it just seems like, is it fatigue? Is it, they're getting pushed too hard? It's too hard. I'm not sure what it is, but the effort just wasn't there for me. But again, the positive is, and let's try to be positive because we know Silent Vic is the most positive of the group. I watch him every night on Greta Bar. There's still 2 games left, right? They've played maybe C+ the last couple games, and one game was in overtime. The other game they played like crap. They were still 1 shot away with 8 minutes left in the third period. They laid an egg last night. It's not like the series is completely over. They still have an opportunity to get back into it.
I saw the 18 stages of grief last night from producer Vic. So I think it was 4-0. He didn't say a word for 45 minutes. It looked like he was crying at one point. Then it was just hysterical laughter by the end of the game, being Leafs in 7, Leafs in 7. So producer Vic is back on board. Stu, what did you think of the lineup changes? Like, I didn't think Kampf did much. I didn't think Robertson did much, but it wasn't much subtraction with Holmberg and Yarncroke. I think it was Craig Berube looking for something in that lineup.
Well, I hope you all put $100 on Robertson scoring a goal.
We did. We did actually. Yeah. Scratch and score, baby.
Anytime score. But it didn't do much.
For
it didn't
real.
do much, right? And you look at the Florida Panthers, right? They put in 3 guys. I didn't even know who 2 of those guys were. And they've had an impact on the – they had 4 guys last night score their first goal of the playoffs, right? You saw Bovequist.
Yep.
I'm like, who's this guy? Where's this guy been? And he comes in, scores a big goal. So again, Kampf, he looked okay in the first half of the game. He made some plays, great pass to Benoit. He had some opportunities as well, but it just seems like it's not good enough, right? And I think what happens in these situations, they defer to the stars, and when the stars don't have it, it's tough. It's tough, right? And they were almost trying to pull a trick out of a hat or a rabbit out of the hat yesterday. Let's try a Willie breakaway. Let's see how that works, right? Let's try to maybe throw a hope pass through the middle, backhand sauce pass, and hopefully catches somebody on the break. There's no magic tricks against the Florida Panthers. You got to match their energy, match their speed, and match their intensity and tenacity, and it's very, very difficult. And that's why they're the reigning Stanley Cup champions, right? But
it's sickening that one of those guys wants Rantanen money and he's throwing like all-star game sauce passes in Game 5 of round 2.
You're a GM right now, and the owner comes up to you on July 1st, and you're gonna say, hey, Mr. Ownership, I'm not putting an offer in. You're not going to have that job.
I'm going to put game tape together, this guy in the playoffs, and I'm going to
get played in the regular season.
Kampf.
You know that.
I'm going to show him video of David Kampf, and this is what we're signing in the playoffs. That's what I'm going to do. He'll get 103 points, and he'll no-show in the playoffs.
He's getting his money. Anyway you dice it, again, I'm not here to argue. Like, again, I agree on some points, but he's getting his money. He's getting his 13
Good for him. I hope he enjoys his time in Carolina or Columbus. I don't give a fuck where he goes. As long as it's not Toronto, I'm happy. Anyway, Stu, excellent job today. My blood's boiling. I'm pissed off. I think a big reason's the big boys. They don't show up when it matters most. And a lot of folks already texted me about your jersey. I hope it's bad voodoo for the Panthers.
Leafs in 7. Leafs in 7.
You can't do that with that jersey on.
Leafs in 7.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
I had a voice too.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.